How's it going, you guys, and welcome to Mornin'Cup. Now we start today off with the fact that the United States is now officially nearing 500,000 COVID deaths, which is, well, quite honestly scary, to say the least. Now, the United States is one of the nations that was, well, holding nothing back when it came to the outbreak of the coronavirus pandemic in Asia. Well, facts dictate that when the United States first saw the rise of the pandemic, life was normal in the United States, whereas life in the Asiatic regions was anything but. We saw lockdowns first originating in Asia and then slowly migrating its way across Europe all the way to the United States. And now, when the continental United States has been hit the hardest in the entire world when it comes to the coronavirus, we can see that the rest of the world is slowly starting to reset itself. The rest of the world is letting go of coronavirus guidelines slowly and steadily, with places reopening, with lockdowns being lifted, with the economies regaining their momentum. Whereas the United States is currently battling the heaviest hit of the coronavirus. Upwards of 2.5 million people have been infected by the coronavirus in the United States. Recently, the United States has come close to upwards of 500,000 coronavirus fatalities. Now, this by no means is anything that we did not see coming. The new administration, as well as the CDC, the Center for Disease Control, as well as the WHO, openly stated the fact that along with the variants of the coronavirus that are currently running rampant in the United States, considering that the sheer significance of the coronavirus has been up for debate in the United States, we see certain people, and a huge chunk of them at that, not taking the virus seriously. And that has resulted directly in the virus spreading more rampantly than ever before. 500,000 fatalities to a virus has never been seen in the United States since the influenza pandemic in 1918. We have also understood the fact that with this pandemic running rampant the way that it currently is, President Joe Biden visited the Pfizer manufacturing plant and stated that the only way to beat the pandemic would be through social distancing, through facial coverings, as well as to get vaccinated. Now, numerous other places like Israel have openly stated the fact that one vaccine dose is more than enough to keep the virus at bay. But the United States still emphasizes on the fact that 2 doses a month apart are more than necessary to keep the virus at bay. And even so, the only immunity you garner after said vaccine is up to 6 months, post which you have to, well, take the vaccine again. Studies are still up, the questions are still up for debate, and the jury is still out on the fact that whether that holds any significant accountable value to it. Whether the vaccines will be required as an annual dose for those people that receive numerous doses for influenzas and such every single year, or whether we're looking at a standalone situation in which the coronavirus vaccine becomes something that is turning into a much needed new dosage, if you will. What we also understand is that the significance of being vaccinated in the United States today is much more prevalent than the rest of the world. With more old age homes being hit, with more elderly people facing the blunt of this virus, we understand the fact that COVID by no means is gone, by no means has been brushed under the rug, that COVID is still running rampant across the globe on such numerous scales and such high intensities that numerous countries are also reconsidering their lockdown protocols. Ireland, amongst one of the most famous ones, is still under significant lockdown. Australia is still under significant lockdown, as well as numerous places in India itself are considering relocking down, considering the spike in coronavirus. Also, the winter and the weather at play is something that is undeniably the root cause of why everything is scaling up the way that it is. We just hope that the United States can pull out through the other side and this pandemic can finally be curbed. But until then, the United States still has a long way to go. We also move on to the fact that there has been massive flooding in the Philippines. Now, the Philippines, as well as Asia itself, has been the epicenter for numerous seismic activities recently. Volcanic eruptions as well as mid-ocean earthquakes have given rise to numerous tsunami warnings. The one that was most famous recently was the tsunami warning issued for New Zealand and Australia. Now, luckily, this tsunami never made landfall. But what we do understand is the fact that if seismic activity continues and if seismic activity ramps up for any reason, we're looking at landfall being prevalent. Also, the sheer displacement of people that this seismic activity is causing is nothing to be taken lightly. Upwards of 51,000 people were evacuated in the Philippines because of flash floods, because a storm, the likes of which they haven't experienced recently, has hit Philippines out of the blue. The geological departments across the globe are calling for people to recognize the fact that this is by no means an isolated incident. We saw Guatemala and its three volcanoes erupting at the same time. We saw global sea level rise, the likes of which we only comprehended was way far ahead in the future. We also saw that seismic activity is resulting in earthquakes in numerous places across the globe, across numerous spectrums, be it Afghanistan, be it Russia, be it the continental United States, be it Guatemala, be it the basin of the Pacific Ocean. What we understand today is the fact that the nature and natural disasters by no means are taking a back seat due to this pandemic. And by natural disasters being ramped up this year, we're also understanding the fact that the odds are significantly stacked against us. You see, humanity as a whole is always going to be prevalent, is always going to be fighting against everything that gives us adversity. But until and unless we understand that the root cause of said adversity is nothing but ourselves, is nothing but climate change, is nothing but we not understanding the significance that nature has, we'll always be a few steps behind. With that, we understand that the world has a lot to offer. There is a lot going on, a lot that is currently at play, with Boeing officially grounding upwards of 24 aircraft because of the Denver incident wherein an engine just completely disintegrated in mid-flight and had to issue an emergency landing. With the coup still ensuing the way that it's ensuing, with China issuing new guidelines for the Sino-US treaty, stating that it wants to restore its relationship with the United States, there's always a spark of good hope. There's always a spark of people doing what's right for the world. You see, a united front as a species is the only thing that we require to prosper, to make the leaps in technology, to make the leaps in deep space exploration, to, as a civilization, to be better than we were, greater than we were. You best believe we will keep you updated on all things the world has to offer. But until then, this has been your Morning Cup. I'll see you tomorrow.